Welcome to Riot Motorsports Sim Racing League. We are located at the Utah Motorsport campus, offering a full range of services for race car enthusiasts, including storage, maintenance, and driver coaching. Our focus is on fostering an inclusive and supportive racing community. Sim racing is a great way for our drivers to continue to practice during the on and off season. Thank you for tuning in. Enjoy the race.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to race number 2 of season number 8 of the Riot Motorsports Sim Racing League. We are at one of the biggest bucket list racetracks on planet Earth, Laguna Seca. Also, well, I guess now it's a WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. This is an absolutely iconic track, and it has been iconic for ages. Now, we are about to start the sprint race for this race number 2. You can see right here from an awesome blimp shot that there are a ton of cars in the field. There are 35 racing drivers, most of which are getting off the line for the formation lap right now. But there are 35 racing drivers in the field. Last week was the biggest field that Riot Motorsports has ever had in one of their sim racing leagues, and that field was 31. And we have 4 additional drivers today. So it is going to be spectacular to see how many the drivers are going to have to. They all have their work cut out for them, because the sprint race, which is about to start here in about a half a lap, was set by a 1-hour practice, and that dictates the starting grid. But for the final, the grid gets reversed, which means the fastest drivers in this race will have to start from the back of the pack and pass the entire field if they want to have a successful main event. So, normally, if you have 20 drivers, you have your work cut out for you. We have 35 drivers, so there is going to be a massive amount of work ahead of people. They're going to have to be very crafty to get through the entire field and try to make their way up to the podium position. So a little bit about the format of the races. As I mentioned, there was a 1-hour practice that was completed, and that set the starting order for this 15-minute sprint race. Bruno Carniero set the fastest time. He is on pole position, followed by Jack Liston, and in P3, John Wilson. 3 of the quicker drivers in the Sim Racing League. Then we have Michael Shumway, Bryson Liu, Lincoln Larson, Shane Wilcox, Andrew Malin, Jay, and Kyle, rounding out the top 10 for this 15-minute sprint shootout. You notice all the cars look similar, and it's because they are. They're all GT3 cars. There are 3 different race classes that are happening at the same time, but everyone has the same equipment. The classes are separated by a few different factors, actually. They're separated by the... all right, hold on, Michael. I have a frozen screen. I don't know if you have a frozen screen as well, but I'm stuck at 11 minutes and 21 seconds in the warm-up lap. All right, so I'm being told that we have a green flag, but I can't see anything on my screen, so this will be fun to broadcast. So let's see if we can get up and going again. As I was saying, Bruno Carniero did start on pole position. I have no idea where he is currently right now because my screen is black, but I would imagine he is still doing very well. All right. We are resetting the live stream really quickly, what is on my screen. So I am just going to talk about the race format. All right. We are back going. Okay. I have a screen again. Okay. I am not flying blind. Thank you all very much for your patience. We're going to pick up right at the green flag. Bruno Carniero is going to take the green flag and start hurtling down what's technically turn 1, although it's just kind of a kink in the straightaway, towards turn 2, the infamous Andretti hairpin. He's going to cover off the inside. Ooh, but John Wilson is going to make a move up the inside on Jack Liston to take P2. Is Jack Liston going to be able to answer back? They are side by side going through turn 3, and That is awesome. John is going to get the pass done. It took him a couple corners, but we are single file for the first 4, and then we have a driver going wide as they start heading down towards turn 5 here. More side-by-side action. This is such good stuff. I know I say it all the time, sound like a broken record, but the racing in the Riot Motorsport Sim Racing League is aggressive, but wildly respectful. The level of skill that these drivers display week in and week out is just, it's top notch. I love watching this racing because, you know, it's not bowling for bodywork the entire time. They're not just out there having a demolition derby. Oh, a little bit of a wiggle from John Wilson. John Wilson is able to keep his car under control, heading down towards turn 10. That's a left-hander there. Going to take advantage of that little dip on the inside of the curb and head towards the final corner, turn 11. Hard on the brakes, down into first gear, get a good drive off for the longest straightaway. All the drivers here starting to get themselves sorted out. Again, this is a 15-minute sprint race that will dictate the starting order for the 1-hour final, but that starting order is going to be a reverse. We're on board right now with Michael Shumway, who's currently in P4 as he's going through the Andretti hairpin. Nice double apex there, and then gonna slide over to the left and make his way down corner 3. Michael Shumway has actually driven this racetrack, as a lot of other people in this field, in real life. And if you go to the livery shop at the Utah Motorsports campus, you will see a chassis, a Porsche 992 chassis that is a chandelier, basically. It's a piece of art hanging from the ceiling. The reason why it's a piece of art, not still a race car, is because Michael crashed it in corner 3 a number of years ago. So he's doing a great job so far, keeping his car out of the wall. Ooh, contact! Contact right there between Michael Shumway and Bryson Liu. Bryson Liu being very aggressive through the corkscrew. And is that going to give Lincoln an opportunity to make his way around Michael? Michael finds his way down into P5. Is he going to have an answer for Bryson? Bryson's being very aggressive early on. You know, they did leave each other racing room, but, I mean, not much. A couple of centimeters at most. And Michael is going to be defensive through corner 11. That is Lincoln Larson. Doesn't try the over-under there. It looks like he was shuffled just a little bit wide. So, did he lose another position? Yeah, it looks like Lincoln... Who's Lincoln behind right now? Lincoln's behind Andrew. Okay, so Lincoln lost out one position, trying to make a dive down in turn 11. Already very, very exciting stuff. Bruno has the fast lap with a 1:21.2. That is a scorching lap. More side-by-side racing as we go through turn number 4, heading down towards turn 5. So, as I was saying before, the racing structure for these races, everybody, side-by-side, Andrew and Bryson. Andrew's making a move. Oh, this is great stuff as they head up. Turn 6, that's very hard to go side-by-side through turn 6, and it looks like Lincoln got ahead. Good stuff here. Such good racing. This is Shane going up and down the corkscrew. Oh, this is awesome stuff. I love watching this racing. And this is such an iconic racetrack for a number of reasons. But let's not forget, it just creates great theater. The track itself is so dynamic. There's the famous corkscrew where cars drop 60 feet, going through that complex. There's, a lot of pitch and yaw to the racetrack that is where a lot of these drivers find or lose significant chunks of time. Shane Wilcox right here, and Kyle, and who's that in the tan liveried? That's Mike. Okay, Mike Calley. Wow, good battle in the top 10. Awesome stuff. Shane making his way around the outside. Multiple options around the Andretti hairpin. You can go too wide, or you can try to get a better run than the driver in front of you exiting that corner heading towards turn 3. So, that is definitely one of the passing options on track. The main zones where you're going to see passes happen are right here in the corkscrew. You do kind of have to force the issue, and you have to trust the person that you're dancing with, but it is possible to pass people there. You're going to see people getting past right, let's see, coming up here, this turn 11, the final turn of the race. I will see if Mike... Oh, wow, look at this. Mike and Bryson side by side going through this corner right here. This is one of the better passing opportunities. Hard on the brakes, down to first gear, and then a long straightaway. You can see Mike Calley gets a bunch of the curb right there. Had to check up, and that is going to allow not only Bryson Liu to get around him, but it looks like Shane is going to make a run here. Shane is going to have the outside going into the Andretti hairpin. But, Mike goes defensive. Shane hangs it around the outside. Is he going to be able to get the pass done? Yes, he is. Good driving from Shane in the AO Racing livery. See, it's been updated from last week. It's got some of the gold teeth that the actual AO Racing team won over this past season. Those gold teeth represent race wins. So good to see that Rexy has a little bit of bling in his grill. Right now we're watching Andrew Malin as he is stalking Lincoln Larson. These are two people that are actually real-life racing drivers. Andrew Malin has a car that's very similar to the one that you see right here on the screen, and Lincoln Larson is a younger gentleman who started his career in karting with Scuderia Littell and is still active in karting, but is starting to make the transition over to cars. He's started racing the Spec Miata, and he raced in the NASA Championships this past year, which, if you've ever seen that, it's a field of 40 of the best drivers in the country, best amateur drivers in the country. So Lincoln is cutting his teeth definitely in murderer's row of drivers there, and so far doing a great job. And he finds himself in P5 in kind of a murderer's row of drivers here in the Sim Racing League. A lot of these drivers, not only do they have real life racing experience, there are professional drivers. They're professional coaches in this field, one of whom is Bryson Liu, who we were just watching a few seconds ago. But as I was saying, Andrew Malin, he drives Porsche 992 for Riot Motorsport in real life, as does Michael Shumway. So the two drivers on track right here that are line astern, they also, in the past, if you've watched prior seasons, Andrew and Michael have had some epic battles throughout the seasons. They are very evenly matched on skill level. They're very evenly matched, on racecraft, and they have had some unbelievable Donnybrooks throughout the past seasons. Right now, we are watching Yannick and Spencer going side by side towards turn 6. That's not an area that you can typically do that. Both drivers are going to have to compromise the racing line, and that is going to give an opportunity to, I believe, George to get a twofer. Oh, wow. Good craft there. Is George going to be able to defend through the corkscrew? Oh, no! Oh, it looked like Yannick was just about to go off track. Is he dropping down the order? Looks like he lost a position or two. Yes, he is dropping down the order. That is unfortunate. Well, let's get a replay right here. Let's see what happened. So, coming through the corkscrew, he is trying to... both... Oh, he's trying to defend... Oh, I see what happens here. Oh, jeez. Holy cow. All right, George might have missed his breaking point by just a touch there. Going straight into the wall, and... looks like Yannick as well. Was there an evasive maneuver? No, looks like he might have just cooked it a little bit. Once you hang wheels along the outside there, not a whole lot you can do to get back on the line. So now is a good point to... and it looks like he made contact with another driver. Now is a great time to mention that the damage is turned off for these cars for the sprint race and the feature race. And the reason why that's done is to make sure that everyone has a chance to continue to battle for the entire race. Typically, if you go off track and you smash your car up, you got to get towed to pit lane, and then, it takes time to make the repairs. Then you're back on track 1 or 2 laps down, and that's not any fun. So what the Riot Sim Racing League does is just turns the damage off altogether. Still get penalty points. You get penalty points for making contact. You get penalty points for going off the track. You get 20 penalty points total. You are given a drive-through penalty. So George and Yannick definitely have picked up a couple of penalty points. I don't think it's going to be a factor in the 15-minute race. There's just not that much time. But in the 1-hour race, in the 45-minute final, it absolutely is a factor. Right now, we are watching Bruno Carniero in the beautiful throwback McLaren livery on the beautiful, very modern McLaren 720S GT3 Evo. Bruno Carniero, love seeing that livery. Love seeing him in the Riot Sim Racing League as well. He's listed as an R3 driver right now, but that is just because he hasn't participated in the races a lot. He is absolutely an R1 caliber driver, as we're seeing right now, because he's gapping the entire field by 2 seconds. Bruno is another one of those drivers that is a professional racing driver and also a driving coach. He's quick in everything. He's won national karting championships. He's raced in Formula cars over in Japan. He used to race in the Mazda MX-5 Cup, which, again, is one of the best racing series ever to exist in the history of motorsports, and that's not an opinion, that's fact. Here we have a driver going off course right now. Not sure who that was. Going through the mid-pack, we have Yannick is down in P18. He definitely lost a number of spots. We'll see if he can fight his way back up towards the top 10. And Yannick is chasing down in the FAF Motorsport plaid Porsche 992 GT3 car. There's so many awesome liveries that we see every week in the Riot Motorsport Sim Racing League. You know, a lot of creative ones. You also see, you know, obviously a lot of the Riot liveries, which, again, if you go to the Utah Motorsports campus, you're going to see cars that are very similar to the ones that you're seeing right now on track. And let's see, Kelly right now in the Mustang. Looks like he was in a little bit of a battle. And right now, let's see, who do we have? We have Andrew Malin and Bryson Liu going back at it. Bryson is going to dive to the outside, try for a switchback on corner 11. Is he going to be able to get a run on Andrew? He is definitely going to be all up in his draft. Can he get something done here as they go through technically turn one? Again, it's just kind of a kink going into the Andretti hairpin. Look how wide Bryson gets going through this double apex early on the throttle. And oh man, Andrew's looking good though. Andrew looks very quick through this section of racetrack. Another corner right here. This is one, you know, if you get it right, you are going to be able to defend. If you get it wrong, you are going to be a sitting duck going towards turn 5. Side-by-side racing here with Alex. Is that Alex Faust? Looks like Alex and Yannick having a little bit of a battle. Really, really solid looking livery with Alex's Corvette, the Z06 GT3 car that's new to iRacing this year. They expanded the GT3 lineup to include the Mustang and the Corvette, and then I think the R8 was there before. Maybe the McLaren is new, but it's just cool to see a variety of cars. If you look up and down the timing and scoring, you can see that a McLaren leads a Ford, leads a McLaren, leads a Lamborghini, leads a Porsche. So, you know, it just love seeing, you know, all the different manufacturers represented here, and they do all have different handling characteristics, which you'll see play out in some of these races. You know, some are a little bit more powerful, but don't corner quite as well. Other cars are just locked in the corners and maybe lack a little bit of the power, a little bit of grunt getting out of the corners. You know, the Mercedes and the BMWs are, you know, they're rocket ships. But, you know, then again, you have, you know, cars like the Porsche that, you know, that corner well, that are pretty well balanced. So, you know, you see these dynamics of the cars play out sometimes on the racetrack. Right now, we are on board with Jack Liston. Jack Liston is screaming fast driver. He is always a candidate to win any race. At that point, he runs a little bit wide going through turn 6. That doesn't seem to slow him down too much. Jack Liston is currently in the last podium spot with 3 minutes and 5 seconds left in this sprint qualifying race. There we go. I'll lead with an awesome looking Mercedes. That's the AMG GT3 car. He's gonna maybe make a little bit of a dive here on Spencer. Nope, not gonna do it. Is he gonna get a run? Oh, he is. Okay, awesome. Good stuff. Good racing up and down the field. So we do have, looks like we're gonna get, a couple of laps left here in the sprint final. And then the finishing order is going to be reversed, and that's going to set the grid for the 45-minute main event. So these drivers, you know, it's not just about having raw pace when you're reversing the field with 35 drivers. It is absolutely, you know, once you get through those first few cars, I mean, it is everyone's competitive in this field. I mean, literally, you look at the spread on the times, and everyone's capable of putting in competitive times. Yes, there are differences in the drivers, and there are certain drivers that are screaming around every racetrack that they show up in, and they manage tires well, and, you know, they're capable of winning every race. But the delta between them and the mid-pack is not that big. So you have to have a high level of racecraft to make your way through the field. And let's be honest, you have to get lucky as well. There just aren't that many rolling chicanes on a racetrack with a field of drivers that are all this talented. Shane Wilcox right now is stalking Kyle. So we have the Rexy on the Lego livery. Oh, these are such good liveries. I love it. This is a great battle as well. This is for P9 coming through the corkscrew. Shane looks like he got a little bit of a run. Is he going to try to make a move? No, he is not. He is probably going to sit back and just continue to stalk Kyle and see if he gets a run here on turn 11. But we're going to go up front to Bruno Carneiro. Bruno Carneiro has had a very boring race, and it's been boring because he's just really, really quick. He's got 2.9 seconds on John Wilson with 1 minute left. I believe we're going to get the white flag the next time by. John Wilson is passing a back marker right now, and John is another driver that is just such a talented driver. He is so talented. He's in R2. He started racing in the Riot Sim Racing League just last year, and he impressed everybody. Out of the box, he was quick. So, no, there's no surprise when you see John, when you see Bruno, when you see Jack up front. It's just, they're sort of the usual suspects. So, I'm curious to see who's going to be able to get it done in the 45-minute main event, because again, you have to be strategic. All right, Shane making a dive down the inside. Let's look at this here. Is he going to get it done? Yes, he is. Oh no! Oh no! Shane and Kyle trying to go through turn 6 side by side. That is one of the least advisable places that you want to try to go side by side there. It's just a really, really quick corner. There's not a lot of room on the inside or the outside if you're going side by side. So normally a driver is going to concede right there. They try to go through, and it looks like we just took the checkered flag right there. Bruno Carneiro has won the sprint event, followed by John Wilson. Rounding out the podium is Jack Liston. And then we have Lincoln, Michael, Andrew, Bryson Liu, Mike Cowley, and let's see, Tyler in the top 10, and Ollie rounding out the top 10. I think he might be a new racer this year. Wow, look at that. We have a new driver in the Riot Sim Racing League in the top 10. It's one of the great things about having new drivers is you never know how good they're going to be. Everybody starts in the R3 category as a new driver, and if you're just quick, then obviously people find out pretty quickly. But that first couple of races, you have no idea. You have no idea what people have. They might be a liability, or they might be a can crusher. Whatever, that's a boxing term. They might be really fast. Anyways, so we are rounding out the field. Let's see, who do we have here outside of the top 10? William Higgins is in P29, just in front of John. And William, for the second race in a row, has the creepiest livery I've ever seen. It is skin and eyeballs. And I don't know if that's a statement of, he's got eyes all over the car. And I don't know. It's unique. Let's call it that way. I'm not going to say it's a creepy livery again, because I don't want to offend him in any way. It's a great livery. Really appreciate the creativity to it. Definitely stands out amongst the field. So, William, congratulations on having the livery. I'm actually curious if that's his actual eyeballs. I don't know where he got it from, but well done on that. Easy to pick out of the field. Now we are just forming up for, or just gridding up for the 45-minute feature race. And you can see there that Bruno is not in the front of the pack. He's in the back of the pack. And the reason why that is because the grid has been reversed. So you have, in theory, slower drivers up front and the faster drivers in the back. Now, obviously, that's not always the case. People can get unlucky. People can get caught up in traffic. Miller was a great example last race. Miller is an incredibly quick driver, and he ended up finishing in the back of the pack in the sprint final and started at the front of the pack for the feature event. And I believe he ended up finishing P4. So, he ended up having a great race. But, for the most part, you're going to have the people in the back trying to make their way through the entire field. People like Bruno, like John, like Jack. They are so fast. And I'm curious to see who's got the racecraft and who's got the luck to be able to make their way through the entire field in 45 minutes. So it is a 45-minute race. There were no pit stops required in the sprint race. However, in this feature event, everyone will have to make a pit stop. It's not a rule, But not only do the tires deteriorate to the point where they're not really going to make it to the end of the race with any sort of life left in them, but also every car starts with basically a half a tank of gas. So they have 45% of the fuel capacity of their car at the start of the race. And that means they just have to pit at some point to get fuel and make a decision on whether they want to take 0 tires, 2 tires, or 4 tires. And that does play into strategy. You know, when are you going to pit? You don't want to pit and then come out into traffic. You don't want to pit too early and then have no tires left for the battle at the end of the race. Do you want to save a little bit of time during your pit stop and take only 2 outside tires instead of all 4? So, you know, there is a lot of strategy that comes into play in the feature event that you don't see in the sprint. The sprint is basically what it is. It's a sprint. You know, you don't really have to conserve tires. You don't really have to, you know, manage fuel save, anything like that. But this 45-minute feature event, absolutely strategy comes into play. So let's see here. We are about halfway through the formation lap. Again, 35 driver field is the biggest field that we've seen in the Riot Motorsports Sim Racing League. We're going to want to keep an eye on the tire management. Also, how aggressive are drivers going to be early? You know, this is it's a long race, and the pace car is pulling into pit lane, which means the pole sitter, Tyler, is controlling the field. We are green. Oh, a lot of drivers spreading out. They're 4 wide going across the start-finish line. That is spectacular. I was just talking about how aggressive we're going to be on the start, and I think our question is answered. They're going to be very aggressive. Lots of side-by-side action. Ooh, driver running wide. Oh, this is great stuff. This is exactly what I love seeing. And if you look at the background, again, it's not a demolition derby. It's just drivers being aggressive and respectful. This is what I love. It's spectacular. You cannot win the race on the first lap or the first corner, but you can certainly lose it. And it seems like all these drivers are aware of that and making their way around the first lap without any major incident. It's exactly what we want to see in any form of racing, and it's what's on display here at the Riot Motorsports Sim Racing League. Now, oh no, Richard! Oh no! Oh, unfortunate for Richard. He hangs out just a little bit wide going through turn 6 and collects another driver. They're going to drop it down the field. Who's the other driver there? It looks like Singler was the other driver that was caught up in that. And again, this is exactly why the damage is turned off. That's a perfect example. Race over for those 2 drivers if damage is turned on in these races. They are absolutely going to go 1, maybe 2 laps down because the field is still bunched up. But turning the damage off, they're allowed to continue racing, you know, and that's great. You're going to have 35 drivers that are all a part of this race for the entire time, and that's what we want to see. We want everyone to have fun in the league, and that's why there are the 3 different race classes: R1, R2, and R3. Ooh, dive down the inside. Ooh, that was a bit aggressive from Miller. A little bit of hip and shoulder there from William, but oh no! Oh, Spencer in the background got caught up as well in that Taco Bell liveried car. Still haven't found out why it's a Taco Bell livery. Oh yeah. Oh, he doesn't get tagged. I figured he maybe got help turning around, but it looks like just got caught out on cold tires. You know, these tires do have to come up to temperature. First couple laps, the cars do tend to either oversteer or understeer more than when they have a lot of energy built up into the tires. It takes a couple laps to do that, and it looks like he just got caught out a little bit, and you know he's going to have his work cut out for him. Silver lining is with 42 minutes and 45 seconds left in the race, he's got a whole lot of time to find his way through the field. So, as I was saying, there is R1, R2, and R3 drivers. And the reason why that was done is so that everybody can race. No one loves to be a backmarker, and trust me, I know just about as good as anyone how awful it is to be a backmarker. So, when you have these different classes racing on the same track, you might be in 17th place, but you might be fighting for a podium, you know, and that's one of the beautiful things about the Riot Sim Racing League is it is incredibly inclusive. It's also a fixed setup, right? So every car in the field, you don't have the ability to adjust, you know, the suspension, the ride height, any of that kind of stuff. And again, that's so people can be casual and they can show up and they can race and they can learn. And it's not, you're not giving an unfair advantage to a driver who spends a ton of time on setup or pays for a setup. It really comes down to the driver skill. And speaking of driver skill, Bruno Carneiro, who started in the back of the pack, is already up to P7. He is such a monster. There's no question why he has the resume that he does as he makes his way around the skin car of William Higgins through turn 5, heading up towards turn 6. You can see him actually right there weaving. Now, he's not trying to break any sort of aerodynamic draft. He's getting extra heat into the tires. So he wants those tires fired up as quickly as possible, because while this field is bunched up, we're less than 5 minutes into the race, so the field hasn't spread out yet. John going side by side as well. John being very aggressive as he makes his way up the field, makes his way around. Who did he just make his way around right there? It's car number 50. That's Kelly right there. So, these drivers in the back of the field that are capable of putting in purple lap times need to be aggressive. They need their tires switched on. Ooh, oh my gosh. And let's see, who was that there? Car number 11. That was Jack and Waleed going side by side through turn 11. Actually, inside turn 11. The drivers that are trying to make their way through the field, they need their tires up to temperature as quickly as possible. And it might be to the detriment of that tire life. It might not last as long as they want. They're going to be able to pick up so many more racing positions in the first few laps when the whole field is still bunched together, and that's what we're seeing right now. And here's what's interesting. So right now, William is defending the position. He is absolutely entitled to do that. Yes, the other drivers around him are faster drivers, but William is 100% entitled to the position. He's on the lead lap. He's trying to take everything he can. So I love seeing this right now. William is defending where he can. Obviously, everyone's being respectful. He's not just punting people around. But yeah, he's making that car as wide as it can be. He wants to leak as few positions as possible out in these beginning stages, because that might end up putting him 6, 7, 8, 12 seconds ahead of the car behind once everything kind of shuffles out. So I love seeing this strategy play out. Michael Shumway right here, car number 13, trying to make his way around Alex. He is another driver that is absolutely capable of putting himself on the podium towards the front of the field in any given race. I kind of call him Mr. Consistent, because, he's not someone that provides a lot of wow moments, right? He's not blowing the doors off people, but he's just consistent. He's got good racecraft. He's always in it at the end of the race. And, he's already up a number of spots, so we're seeing that play out right now. Right now we're watching, this is the leader right now. This is George in that beautiful, beautiful R8 LMS Evo 2 GT3 car. Just an awesome, awesome car. And George is in the lead by 2.2 seconds. So how long is he going to be able to hold on to that before the quicker drivers end up catching up to him? And Bruno Carneiro, oh my God. He just took P3. So Bruno started in the back of the field less than 7 minutes ago and has made 31 passes in 5 laps. That is an absolute clinic. What a clinician. Miller is also a very quick driver. He is not an easy person to pass, but Bruno is putting his racecraft on display right now. Ooh, side by side. See, looks like John might be the benefactor of that. Again, if you're battling out of turn 11, you're going to be slower down the whole straightaway. So a lot of times you see two drivers fighting for position, and it's actually the driver behind them that ends up the benefactor, because it's a wide straightaway. You do have technically turn 1, which chokes out a little bit, but getting a run out of the corner, you can go 3 wide, you can go 4 wide if you're careful. So Shane right now is diving down the inside of Alex and is going to get a pass done, and is going to look forward to John Feeney, see if he can make inroads on John. Alex is going to try to answer back. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to get a pass done on Shane. And there we go. Derek and William are... Oh, no. Oh, no. Something happened to Alex. Oh, Alex got turned around there. He was on the inside going into turn 5. And Shane made contact Oh, you can see right there. So you can see Alex. Shane doesn't give him a ton of room. You can see when Alex hits the curb, his car gets unsettled, pushes wide, runs into Alex. So that'll be reviewed after the race. I don't know that Shane gave him a full car width, but also I don't know that Alex was alongside the door of Shane. So, as of now, that looks like a 50-50, but after the race, they're going to talk through it and see if any penalties need to be assessed. So, as I was saying before, there are 20 incident points that you accrue, and then you get a drive-through penalty. Waleed lost a little bit of ground. Waleed's not making it easy on Andrew Malin to get around him. He got a bad exit out of the corkscrew, bled out 1 point to Jack Liston, and is trying to do a little bit of damage control. Andrew is going to dive down the inside. Oh, no! Oh, no. That might have been a little bit naughty from Waleed. You can see Andrew... Does he get alongside? Yeah, he's alongside. He's ahead. Waleed just turns in on him and is going to turn them both around. Oh, no, Waleed's able to continue. Andrew actually doesn't even get turned around. He just makes a detour through the gravel. But that's about the worst place that can happen because you're going to bleed positions out down the entire front straightaway. So that is unfortunate for Andrew Malin, who is trying to make his way through the field, who was up, goes to the top 10, and now finds himself down in... where was he? He's in P14. This is a great battle. Look at these 4 cars right here. That's John up front, and then Lincoln. Who else is in that? Lincoln, Bryson, and then who's in the Pfaff Motorsport? That's Carson. This is an awesome 4-way battle. This is great stuff. Not only is it cool liveries, not only is it cool cars, not only is it cool people, but it's just great racing. They're heading up towards turn 6. Oh, no. Oh, trying to go side by side again, and Carson does concede the corner. Miller runs just a touch wide, but they both are able to continue with good pace. And what happened? Let's see. We lost a driver in that fight. What happened to Bryson? Uh-oh. What happened here? This is coming up towards turn 6. Miller and Carson going side by side. Oh, no. I don't think Carson saw Bryson right there. Just a little bit of overlap between the rear of Carson's car and the front of Bryson's. And that is going to put Bryson back down into the mid-teens. And, he's someone that, again, can win any race. So he's going to have a lot of work left. I mean, there is still 35 minutes left. We're only 10 minutes into this feature event. Oh, look at this. There's Miller and Carson going side. I'm sorry, Lincoln and Carson going side by side towards turn 11. And Carson's going to get the better of Lincoln. Lincoln is absolutely in the aerodynamic draft. Going down the longest straightaway. Is he going to try to make a dive down the inside? Looks like he is going to take a lunge. He is alongside. Oh, runs wide. Carson is smart to check up and avoid that contact, but they make contact at that second apex, and Lincoln is back in front. And Lincoln is going to keep that position. He's not going to give the position back. So the way these races are officiated is obviously you get the 20 incident points. And if you accrue 20 incident points, typically it's 4 for contact, 1 for leaving the track. Then you have a drive-through penalty. And that is going to become a factor in this race. We're already 10 minutes in. We've seen a number of drivers going off track, making contact with one another. So if you get those 20 incident points, you get a drive-through penalty. But also penalty points to your championship total that get assessed after the race. And what happens is everybody goes into Discord and they all get in a room and they review all of the incidents. And it looks like we're going to go... All right, we're going to a full course yellow. I will explain why that's happening in just a moment. But everybody gets into Discord and they talk through the individual incidents. And it really, obviously it's they assess how points are going to be, penalty points are going to be divvied out. Was it a 50-50? Was one driver more at fault? Is it worth 10 points? Is it worth 50? Right? And it functions really as a learning or a driver development tool. There is a dialogue, but also Michael Shumway, who is, sort of the man, he's sort of the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain making all of this happen. He's the one that says, all right, look, this was... you were at fault because of this. You can't just make a late lunge, right? Like that contact ultimately is on you. And and that happens, they get penalty points to their championship. So, obviously, it lends to the legitimacy of this race and making it as realistic as possible. But also, this is a learning tool, and that's the way that it's treated. A lot of these people do race in real life, and a lot of people will in the future. And with Riot Motorsports, they're a real racing team out at the Utah Motorsports campus. They do driver coaching. It's a big piece of what they do. And this Sim Racing League is truly an extension of that. So with 32 minutes and 30 seconds left, we are under caution. And the reason why that is realism. So all the cars are going to bunch up again. It not only creates a more competitive environment, which, again, everybody loves to compete. So, Riot Motorsports is trying to foster as much competition as possible. But also, it mimics real life. There aren't cautions in every single race, but they happen randomly. There was one later in race one with, I think, about 15 minutes left to go, which gave it an amazing sprint shootout. And here we have just a little bit under 13 minutes into the race, another caution. And again, you don't know when it's going to happen. So sometimes it throws a wrench in your strategy. We saw that in Formula One just this past week, where Lando Norris got caught out by an unlucky virtual safety car right after he pitted. So this mimics that. Sometimes you're just unlucky. We do have our first drivers diving into the pit, so everyone does have to make one compulsory stop. And Andrew Malin is first driver into pit lane. He's taking advantage of the virtual safety car. Obviously, the delta is much smaller when you lose less time over the field when everyone is going at pace car pace. So I see a lot of drivers diving in right now. They're taking advantage of the safety car, of the caution. But they are now going to have a fairly long stint on the tires. They're going to get fresh fuel. I'd imagine most of these drivers are choosing to get 4 tires instead of 2. You can either take 0 tires, 2 tires, or 4 tires. I'd guess most of these people are taking 4 tires. And then they are going to have to start from the back of the field on the restart. But hopefully what they're hoping is going to happen is as it cycles through, they will gain a bunch of positions by basically undercutting the field. And then they will have a tire disadvantage at the end of the race. So they're gambling and saying, you know what? The tire disadvantage in the closing stages of the race is worth the time gained under the safety car. So looks like, who do we have in? We had Ollie, Andrew, Malin, we had Austin Kent, Richard, Jesse, Carter took a pit stop. John took a pit stop, so looks like a little bit less than half the field. And I don't know if we're going to do 2 laps under safety car or just 1. In the last race, the safety car was late enough in the race where there were back markers, and what they ended up doing was shuffling everyone back into the order, physical order. So safety car is in. All right, we're going green. Okay, so just 1 lap under caution, and we are green again. George still leading the race with 15 minutes down and 30 to go, but Bruno Carniero, who started in the back of the field, is about to challenge for the lead, and he takes the lead going into turn 1. Is he going to be able to hold on to it? Yes, he is. Is Miller going to make a dive? Oh, yes, Miller is making a dive on the inside of George, and is he going to be able to complete the pass before turn number 3? Oh, no! Oh, driver wide. Oh, no, there's carnage on the restart. We avoided it on the initial green flag, but let's see what happens here. Is a little bit. Oh, yep. 3 into 2 does not go. They start bouncing off each other, and that checks up the entire field. And, looks like Bradley gets turned. I can't remember who's in that McLaren. Who's in that McLaren right there? That is Jack. Jack gets collected in this. Oh, so that is less than ideal. Looks like only Bradley and Jack got the worst of it. But George is back up to P2. George is going to be fighting for his life on this restart. Bruno Carniero was able to get through. Miller is a quick driver. He's a smart driver, and he is going to be lurking all over the back of George and John as well. Oh my gosh. So you have some of the fastest drivers right now trying to make inroads. John is going to dive down towards the inside. Oh, and he's going to step over right in front of Miller as they approach corkscrew and head down the hill. That was real talented driving from John right there. Oh, such a good move. John is such a quick driver. Love seeing him on track. Lincoln Larson heading down the field here. We have Lincoln. We have Michael Shumway, who is trying to get around Jack as they go hard on the brakes. And through turn 11, just avoiding that big sausage curb on the left on the apex. If you hit that, that's a big problem. So they want to get as close as they can to widen the corner as much as possible. But if you get up onto that sausage curb, it is going to compromise your exit significantly. John has just gotten around George, so John is now into P2. Bruno Carnero is in P1. So the drivers that started in the back of the field have made their way up to the front. And again, that's not only a testament to how quick they are, that's a testament to how skilled they are at getting around traffic. There is absolutely an art form to catching people at the right part of the track. So even though you see a pass happen in one corner, Bruno is actually teeing that up 3, 4, 5 corners ahead of time, a half a lap ahead of time. He's thinking through, where am I going to catch this person? Where's the best place to catch him? You don't want to catch him in a corner where you can't pass, because then you just have to sit behind them. Whoa! And William Higgins goes off track on turn 6. Has he got some help there from Bryson? Oh no, he's behind Bryson, who's Shane. Oh, nope, just runs a little bit wide. And I think that looks like maybe he missed the apex by just a little bit. You really have to pound that apex in turn 6, or else you do wash wide. It's so easy to do. It's such a tricky corner. It's honestly one of my favorite corners in motorsports because it's so fun to get right. But when you get it wrong, you do pay the price. So Bryson Liu right now is in P13. He is being chased by Logan and Shane and Kyle. And right now we are watching Logan in that patinaed. Who's Logan driving? Is that a McLaren? Yep, that's one of the McLarens. So that patinaed McLaren, love seeing that. Again, the liveries here are they're so creative. They're so fun. Oh no! Oh, Logan! Logan loses it in the Andretti hairpin, and he is going to have to sit and watch multiple cars go by. That is not ideal for Logan. And had Logan taken a pit stop? I don't think he's taken a pit stop yet, so I wasn't. Yeah, so I wonder if he's going to use. No, well, it's in the hairpin, so it's not necessarily a great time to hit right there. I was going to say if he spun before pit lane, it might be a good time to pull in and get your tires, but obviously that's not an option. So on board right now with Jack Liston. Jack has had a very up and down race, a lot of drama, but at the moment he's actually in a really good spot. He's in P6. There's 25 minutes. There's a little over 25 minutes left in the race. He's behind Miller. This is very competitive. You can see 3 cars battling up front. So really, the whole front of the field is bunched up right now. Another driver pulled into the pits. I'm not sure who that was. That was Yannick pulling into pit lane to make his compulsory pit stop. And we have, Miller and Jack fighting for P5. And Miller, is he going to try to make a move? No, he's not. Is he going to get a switchback? No, he's not. Okay, so they're saying line astern. And at a certain point, strategy has to come into play, right? Like you have Jack and Miller are fairly closely matched. And at what point do you say, hey, let's not fight for a couple of laps. Let's work together and try to make our way through the field as a team, as a frenemy. And then you're not losing touch with that lead group with Bruno and John, right? So right now they're sitting behind George. Yep, he's going to keep it on track through turn 6. And this is what I was talking about before, where Lincoln has to catch George in a good spot. It doesn't do him any good to just sit behind George for an entire lap. Oh, there we go. Makes a big surprise there coming through turn number 9. Oh, wow. That was an aggressive move. I like it. I love seeing that out of Lincoln. Again, that's not a traditional passing corner, and you can catch people out sometimes. You can surprise them. And if you can get a good enough run, then you can surprise them in a way where it's safe. You could be alongside or ahead of them at the apex, and then they have to give you that racing room. And we saw a great example of that there from Lincoln as Lincoln's trying to make his way up the field. Another great battle right here with Derek and Waleed. No, is that Derek and Kelly? No, it's Derek and Kelly. Okay, so we have Derek and Kelly, Waleed in the background. Could be a 3-way battle. Could be a 4-way. Could be a 5-way battle. Ooh, could be 6. Oh, no. Oh, driver goes around. Oh, Derek. What happens here? So Derek is behind Kelly. Waleed is behind Derek, and Waleed just comes real hot into that second apex at the Andretti hairpin and turns Derek around. So this is one of those incidents that is going to be talked about after the race. Like I was saying, they all sit in a Discord chat room and they all have a civil conversation about what happened. They get to plead their case, and then Mr. Consistent, Michael Shumway, makes a judgment call on whether penalty points will be awarded or not. But again, it's a learning opportunity, right? Like you might, again, in racing, particularly in sim racing, a lot of times you think you are 100% correct. I had the corner, I was on the inside, he closed the door on me. But then when you look at it objectively, yeah, maybe it was a bit of a dive bomb. There are always two sides to a story, and anyone that's spent any time around racing drivers or listening to racing drivers know that a driver is never at fault, right? Like, it's always the other person. So it's nice having that objective third party in Michael Shumway to sort of say, no, this is the way that I see it. These are the rules as they're dictated, and you are at fault or you are not at fault. So that's a great example there, that incident last lap. We have another driver pulling into pit lane. There's Lincoln pulling into the pits. He is right past the halfway point, so... Did Lincoln? I didn't Lincoln get... That is really weird. Lincoln just drove through the pits. He didn't make a pit stop, and he's making his way out right now. So he's either... I mean, there's two scenarios, right? He either has accrued 20 penalty points, and obviously there's 35 drivers in the field, so we haven't been watching anyone. So if he accrues the... we haven't been watching everyone. So if he has accrued the 20 penalty points, then he will get a drive-through penalty. The other option is you can just miss your pit box. It's very easy to do. And if you miss your pit box, you are not allowed to reverse on pit lane. So basically, if you drive past your pit box, then you are required to give yourself a drive-through penalty. So hopefully that's not what happened to Lincoln. Oh, no! Is that Austin again? Oh. Oh, no, that was Jack. Oh, Jack. Oh, man. I mean, he's in P6, about to drop down to P7. Not the end of the world, but not ideal for him. We're seeing a lot of carnage in this race. And, you know, again, it's not overly aggressive driving. Incidents happen. But, I mean, it's such a dicey ask of anyone to try to make their way through a field of 34 other drivers. Or conversely, if you're a little bit off the pace, if you're still learning, if you're not one of these pro drivers, I mean, how intimidating is it to get swarmed by these guys? You're still having to defend, you're still having to race, but there is going to be a difference in braking points. There is going to be a difference in cornering speed. There is going to be a difference in tire wear. There's a difference in all of these things. That's what makes these great drivers great, and it's what makes these students, students. Like, they have to learn, and this is exactly how it's being done. It's being done in a low-consequence environment and in a very inclusive and forgiving environment, which, again, all the credit in the world to Riot Motorsports for creating a platform for this to happen. Anyone that's been in, an official iRace just with the general public knows that sometimes it can get a little bit chirpy, and you don't get that resolution. You don't learn from it sometimes. You're just like, all right, great. Well, I got punted, and my race is over. This racing league is a platform to avoid all of that and for people to genuinely learn racecraft. And one of the people that they learned from is Bryson Liu, and the other is Bruno Carnero. Here's Miller pulling into the pits, and who was that behind Miller that was pulling into the pits? Was that Jack? Yep, Jack pulling into the pits. So we're starting to see the pit cycles play out, and those drivers that pitted under the caution are now going to make their way up the field, but they are going to have, a 4-lap tire disadvantage at the end of the race, and that is significant. Again, these drivers are all very, very closely matched in a lot of ways. There's Jack coming out of pit lane. Where is he going to blend in here? He's coming down the inside of Andretti hairpin, and he is that Bradley? I think he's going to come out right in front of Bradley, and if his tires are not up to temperature, he's going to have to be very, very careful about how he maneuvers through these next few corners. Again, these tires do take a little bit of time to really get that energy into them and get to their optimal grip levels. So, it's tricky on the outlaps, particularly when you're coming out in traffic. You don't want to lose any more positions. Right now, we're following Andrew Malin. Andrew Malin is in P12, trying to make his way up the field, but he does have a bit of a gap to Tyler Fox, the next driver ahead. And there's Shane in the AO Racing Rexy livery. Again, love AO Racing. They race in IMSA with that beautiful livery. They're a team, as with FAF Motorsports in the background. You can see who's that? Who's the driver in the FAF Motorsports? That's Carson pulling out of the pits as well. And those are two racing teams. I mean, FAF has been around. They're, an institution in American road racing. And FAF and AO Racing, I think from a marketing standpoint, have done an absolutely phenomenal job. And they've done it by being playful and acknowledging that racing isn't all serious. It is for the drivers. It is for the racing engineers. It is the most important thing in the world for them to win on any given day. But for the fans, it's about fun and it's about entertainment. And AO Racing has embraced that. You can see it with that livery. And hats off to them for sort of cracking that nut and kind of giving permission to the other teams to do that. Shane making his way around. Jay right now. Jay actually had a really good livery too. I love the neon livery. I just love anything creative. Michael Shumway, right now we are watching. He is in P4. He is behind George, and George is behind Richard, who is a back marker. And let's see, Michael's going to dive into the inside, beat George to the apex on turn 11, get a run out, not lose any time to the back. That was a great pass. That was a textbook pass from Michael on the slowest corner of the racetrack, and the biggest passing opportunities. Now, is Michael going to be able to distance himself from George high enough where he doesn't have to worry about defending and can go on the attack with the skin livery of William Higgins? William's having, actually, honestly, a decent race. He is he's an R3 driver. He's new this year. You can see Michael's kind of struggling to get around him right there. He's got to pick his spot, and the spot is going to be turn number 5. And William is going to concede a spot to George as well. But honestly, William's a great example of an R3 driver who's probably in the appropriate class. He's still learning. And, it's definitely, sort of drinking from the fire hose when you have all this other traffic around you. But you learn so much, and you learn so quickly. And it's easy to learn in an environment where you know that you're going to be treated respectfully. Michael had every opportunity in the world to send William into the wall, and he didn't do it because it's not how they race. So we see Michael diving into pit lane right now. He is, we don't have that many drivers left to pit. Looks like Bruno is also taking his, Bruno is pitting right now as well. So we're going to shuffle back down the order, and they'll have about 15 minutes to try to get back up into the podium positions. And there's Michael. Michael came out in front of Bruno. So this is similar to Jack. He either got a drive-through penalty or he's missed his pit box, which is something that you don't really see all that much in the Riot Motorsports Sim Racing League, which makes you think there might be a reason why. I don't know if the pit boxes get shuffled, from the qualifying to sprint race to the feature event. But something's happening because we have multiple drivers miss the pit box, which is atypical in these races. So we'll keep an eye on that, see if anyone else misses it, because Michael's now going to have to make another pit stop, and that's going to be devastating to his race. Pitting later in the race means he does not have a ton of time to make up for spots. And Bruno Carnero is making a move. He's going to make a move coming up the hill. This is such a tricky corner right there. You can see right about when you want to be on the brakes, there's a blind crest, and that car loses all of its mechanical grip when it crests that hill, and you lose your ability to brake. So that's a really tricky corner. Everybody looks at the corkscrew, coming down the hill, but in reality, it's the braking zone leading up to it that is more make or break than any other element of that corner. And then we see Michael Shumway coming in to the pits again. That is devastating for his race. He was having a great race. He was up towards the podium. He was in the podium spots and now finds himself shuffling down basically with a drive-through penalty. Again, unclear whether it was actually a penalty or if we have drivers that are missing their pit boxes. But with all of that being said, John Wilson is now in the lead of this race. He is an R2 driver, was promoted from R3 last year. This is his second season in the Riot Motorsports Sim Racing League, and he is proving that he's consistently not only one of the fastest, but one of the craftiest drivers on the racetrack. There's Mike Cowley as he is down in P15. Oh, Andrew, keep it together. Good job, Andrew. All right, now let's talk about a little bit of Rallycross. Rallycross does race at the Utah Motorsports campus, and Andrew Malin was inspired by the Rallycross event that happened just a couple of months ago at the Utah Motorsports campus and decided to try it out for himself. You can see actually he hit that sausage curve on the inside at the apex of turn 6, and it unsettled the car, ended up having to go wide. Great car control from Andrew, keeping it on, pointing in the right direction and not losing too much time. And this has been such a good race. 12 minutes and 25 seconds left. This is the type of racing that you get, anytime you watch a Riot Motorsport sim race, but also at Laguna Seca. There's a reason why this is a bucket list racetrack for everyone. There's a reason why, everything is raced here basically other than Formula One. This is a track that was built in the 1950s. It's in a beautiful part of the country, just outside of Monterey, California. And actually, this was built in 1957. The racetrack. Here we see, who's this? It's Austin Kent in P3. Is he in P4? Oh, okay. Here we go. So Austin is being shown in P3, P2. But I'm noticing on the timing and scoring that John and Bruno are not there. So I wonder if they're having some connectivity issues. But Austin, P2 on the timing and scoring, but I think he's in P4. Yeah, he is. You can see John and Bruno sort of popping in and out of the timing right there. But as I was saying, this track was built in 1957. Prior to that, they actually held races on the 17-mile drive, which, if anyone's been to Monterey and seen what that road looks like, terrifying to think that people drove down that thing quickly. But they built the Laguna Seca Raceway. Initially, it was actually a different configuration. The Andretti hairpin wasn't there. Turns 3, 4, and 5 weren't there. It was much quicker. And then in the 80s, it was actually, they were trying to get a Formula One race. So in the late 80s, I think it was 88 after Detroit, the Formula One was trying to move the USGP and Laguna Seca made changes to the racetrack to try to make it more appealing for Formula One. Formula One ultimately did go to Phoenix instead of Laguna Seca, and now they don't run at this racetrack, and it's not a consideration because it's a Grade 2 track, an FIA Grade 2. And there we see Bruno dropping out again. There are definitely some connectivity issues right now that are happening. Hopefully it doesn't affect anyone's race. There's Austin. Showing Austin ahead of Braden, who is a lap down, and then John ahead, but we know Bruno's ahead of him, so might have to do a little bit of math here to figure out the running order. So Andrew is shown in P1, but he's, I think, P3, because I think John is in front of him and Bruno is in front of John. So I believe that's a running order right now. So this has been a spectacular race. If you haven't tuned into the first 35 minutes, congratulations. You have missed a whole bunch of stuff, but you do get to watch the final 9 minutes and 30 seconds as 35 drivers make their way around Laguna Seca Raceway, the WeatherTech Laguna Seca Raceway. This is the Riot Sim Racing League, season number 8, race number 2. 45-minute feature race, we have been treated to countless passes and repasses and drivers off track and just spectacular racing. Again, anywhere you look on this racetrack right now, you can see just good, skillful racing. Right now, we are watching Shane and Lincoln. And Lincoln is in P7, probably P9 with the connectivity issues, maybe P8. And Shane is in front of him. Lincoln is in the Lamborghini Huracan GT3 Evo. And then you can see Shane in the Porsche 991 GT3R, the 992.2 generation. So very evenly matched cars. But again, they have slightly different characteristics as far as how they behave on track. So both of them doing a great job of making their way around the track and completing the last 18 minutes and 15 seconds here. Good battle for, let's see, this is for P10. This is top 10 battle right here. And that's Ollie. That's Jay. And who else is there? Carter. Awesome stuff. And, saying before, this is actually, that's for that is for the last 2 podium spots in the R3 class. Bruno is technically an R3 driver. He is winning the race, and then the next R3 driver on track is Jay right there. So this is for a podium position. This is what I was talking about earlier, where it is multi-class racing, and the reason why that's done is so you can have what looks like a battle for P10 on track, but in reality, that's a podium-paying position that those drivers are fighting for. So, they're going to be fighting all the way to the checkered flag. You're not going to see scenarios where, people are like, all right, well, I'll just hang out here because, P10's good. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. These drivers are trying to get into the podium spots, whether they're an R1 driver, R2 driver, or an R3 driver. And John Singler, what happened here? John Singler's off track going into turn 6. It doesn't look like he got a bit of the... Oh, okay. Got it. Okay, so he doesn't get the inside curve, but he hangs a wheel out on the outside. That hooks him around to the inside, and he smashes the wall. But again, the damage is turned off in these races, so he's able to continue. Just a couple seconds later, his car is back to perfect. So he's going to be able to continue to trundle along this racetrack, only losing positions physically on track, not having to lose positions by being towed to the pit lane and then having repairs made. It looks like there are still a couple of drivers in the closing stages of this race that have not pitted. So they're waiting, hoping that something will happen that will give them an advantage late in the race. And Carter right there. Carter's got a really flashy livery, as does Jay. Love seeing those cars. Jay is in one of the McLarens, and Carter is in one of the Porsches. And it's great stuff. There's been no shortage of racing like we're seeing right here between Kelly and Tyler. Wow, Tyler's having a great race. He's been threatening in the top 10. They've been kind of up and down the order, but I'm really impressed with Tyler, honestly. I think he is someone to look out for in that R3 category. I think that he will continue to put in solid performances. He's done a good job so far. Kelly's a quick driver, for sure, and he's been able to stay with Kelly. So good stuff here with 5 minutes and 45 seconds left in the second race of Season 8 of the Riot Motorsports Sim Racing League. We have seen... There's Tyler trying to make a move down the inside. We've seen a lot of great racing here, and I'm curious how people's tires are doing. There is a massive offset between the people that pitted first and the people that pitted last. Bryson right now is trying to get back into the podium spots with... he's going to try to switch back on George right here. And is he going to get a run on him? Looks like he's got a run. Be able to stay in the aerodynamic draft, and then as George slides out wide here to start braking for the Andretti hairpin, Bryson's going to keep it tight, try to make a dive down the inside. Good defense from George, but Bryson is a professional driver. He's actually the Super Trofeo champion from a couple of years ago and a driver coach. So if anyone is going to be able to make a pass, it is going to be Bryson Liu. Bryson is going to have to, he's going to have to fight for this one. George making a good defense. This is a multi-corner pass. It doesn't get any better than that. That is awesome. Bryson had to earn that position, and he got it. So Bryson is in P4, and right now we have Bruno, we have John, we have Andrew Malin, and we have Bryson in the top 4. Those are all incredibly fast drivers. Then we have George, great driver. Looks like he's losing out to those sort of front runners. Lincoln Larson is making a move on George. Oh, no. Oh, tries to get it done. Can't get it done through the corkscrew, but both drivers are able to continue. Lincoln is going to try to make a move on George, where he's made a move earlier in the race on that corner. Did a absolutely phenomenal job. Thinks better of it this time. Coming towards turn 11. This is a hard braking zone, and then they're going to be on the throttle for the long straightaway, and George gets a good exit, gets a great exit. So I think he's going to be able to hold Lincoln off for this straightaway. Lincoln is going to have to be very aggressive if he wants to get around George. This is the closing stages of the race. There's only 3 minutes and 30 seconds left, and George is now fighting for his life to keep P5. This is awesome stuff. We have a late... Who is that? Is that John Feeney? John Feeney just did... Oh, all right. He got around. Okay, I was saying John Feeney coming out of the pit lane put himself in front of Lincoln Larson, and that can cause a lot of problems. Even if it's only a corner or two, as Feeney is trying to get his tires up to temperature, that is going to create a gap between Lincoln and George that Lincoln is going to have to fight very hard to gain back. So this is awesome stuff in the last few laps of the Riot Motorsports Sim Racing League here at the WeatherTech Raceway at Laguna Seca. Andrew Malin has had an up and down race, but currently it looks like he's up. He's in P3. Love seeing it. Absolutely love seeing it. Andrew, and this is what I was saying before. This is why the damage is turned off, because you can have an incident early in the race. In Andrew's case, you can have an incident in the middle of the race as well, and still end up in the fight for a victory at the end of the 45-minute feature race. This is great stuff. There's no shortage of entertainment in these races. And when you have 35 drivers, I love seeing these big fields. I really, really hope that this sport continues to grow and this racing league continues to grow, because it's ideal. It's absolutely ideal. This is ideal racing. They're great cars. The racing series is structured, I think in a way that really, really makes sense and just fosters good competitive racing. And also, you have such a great collection of drivers and the people that are out there, doing this week in and week out. 1 minute and 50 seconds left. We might see the white flag this time. We might see it on the next lap. Bruno Carneiro has the fast lap. I believe he's had the fastest lap in every session so far. 121.1, which is absolutely screaming. So Bruno absolutely, without question, has a pace advantage, but he finds himself behind John Wilson. So is he going to be able to get around John Wilson in the closing stages of the race? They are separated by... I'm trying to get a gap here. Oh, John's checked out. I'm seeing a 20... Oh, no. Is he? Oh, he's right behind him. Sorry, the connectivity issues are making it a little bit hard to track right now. Bruno is right behind John Wilson with the last lap or two. It's 45 minutes plus 1, so looks like there might be 2 more laps of competition. 2 more laps for Bruno Carneiro to try to find his way around John Wilson. And it's a major feather in John's cap if he can fend off a driver at the level of Bruno Carneiro in the closing stages of this race. Again, you don't know where their tires are at right now. You don't know if they're, nursing tires or if their tires are just coming into the, into their own. So, this is great stuff. You can see both coming through the corkscrew there. Such a cool shot. I love watching anyone race around this racetrack. John going defensive, Bruno going to the outside. Again, they're blinking, which is not ideal. Don't love seeing that. But there's nothing we can do about it because it's iRacing, and that's just something that happens. And if you think it's distracting watching it on the live stream, you have no idea how distracting it is when you're in a car driving and the car in front of you randomly disappears and you have no idea where it is. John is going to go defensive into the Andretti hairpin. The white flag is out. There's 1 more lap of racing. There are only a handful of turns left for Bruno to get around John, and there are only a handful of corners left for John to defend against one of the most talented drivers in the Riot Motorsports Sim Racing League. Oh, I love how this is shaping up. I'm always a bummer with the connectivity issues because I'm not quite sure what's happening right now, but it's such fun racing. And let's see here. Bryson is in P3. Lincoln is in P4. Where's George? So George dropped down. So right now we have John, Bruno, Bryson, and Lincoln. And there's George in P6, it looks like. So in the final stages of this race, there is just a couple of corners left for Bruno and John in P1 before they put a stamp on it. Lincoln Larson right there is in P4. Lincoln is just looking at the gaps right now, not really close enough. I don't think he's going to be able to make a move on Bryson's. So checkered flag is out. Drivers crossing the finish line right now, and John Wilson has taken the win at Laguna Seca in race 2 of the Riot Motorsports Sim Racing Lead, followed by, is it Bruno? Is Bruno in P2? So, Bruno, where's Bruno? Why is Bruno in P10? I wonder what happened there. I wonder if he had a drive-through penalty or connectivity issue. But Bruno has dropped from fighting for the victory all the way down to P10. So that is going to have serious implications on his R. Well, no, actually, no, it won't. He went from P1 in the R3 class to P2. So let's look at the results. John Wilson is the, we'll start with R1. So in R1, Shane Wilcox finished 4th, but is the, oh, I'm sorry. Let's start over. Let me start that again. Bryson Liu wins the R1 division, followed by Shane Wilcox, and in P3 is George. The R2 race was won by John Wilson, who also won the race outright, followed by Lincoln Larson. And rounding out the podium in R2 is Miller. So another good result for Miller. And then the P3 race was won by Jay. Excellent result from Jay, finishing in P7 overall. And Bruno is on the second step in the R3 race. And Kyle, great job from Kyle, rounding out the podiums for R3. So, you know, the standings right now, let's see if we can get a live update. It looks like for R1, in P1, can't really read the spreadsheet. Let's see. Trying to get some live updates in the standings because this is a 12 race series and you accumulate points and there is a championship. So in R1, it looks like Bryson is now winning the R1 championship. Shane is in P2, and Michael Shumway is in P3 of the R1 championship. So moving over to the R2 championship, after 2 rounds, we have John Wilson, no surprise there. He is winning the R2 championship, followed by Lincoln Larson, very talented young driver, and then P3 is Miller. And in the R3 class, there is Bruno Carniero. Even though he top 10'd this race instead of podiumed, he is still winning the R3 championship, followed by Ali, and then finally Waleed. Wow, great result from Ali and Waleed right there to be top 3 in the R3 championship. So, again, no surprise, another breathless race, another exciting race from the Riot Motorsports Sim Racing League. This has been spectacular to watch. Hopefully you guys tune in for next week, and thank you all very much for watching. Next week, we are at the Nordschleife, and it should be another very, very exciting race. Thank you all much. Thank you all very much. We'll see you next week.
Welcome to Riot Motorsports Sim Racing League. We are located at the Utah Motorsport campus, offering a full range of services for race car enthusiasts, including storage, maintenance, and driver coaching. Our focus is on fostering an inclusive and supportive racing community. Sim racing is a great way for our drivers to continue to practice during the on and off season. Thank you for tuning in. Enjoy the race.